For the people that don't know me, I'm Antonio Ramos. I'm the Mexico Operations Director for MES. Uh, in behalf of all MES team, we would like to welcome you to this, the first Mexico Supplier Summit event, the first one of many that we have planned for the coming years and coming events. So I know your time is valuable, but I can assure you that you'll get much valuable information during this event, especially for all the companies that have growth plans on this 2023. So we really appreciate all your time. So anyway, just to introduce you to our president and CEO of MES, Hiten Shah. Thank you everyone for being here and for your time.
It's a very humbling event for me personally because we've been at this game for about 14 years. We had numerous awards, very fast growth, Inc. 500, Fast 50, Smart 50, all of that stuff. But I think what I'm most proud about is the teams that we've built in different parts of the world. And Mexico is been second to none. So really big round of applause for all the Mexico team that has helped in putting this together. And the queen of our show, Jessica, is somewhere around. Please thank her whenever you see her. So, right there. She won't say much, but she's done tireless work in putting this together. So, and we have a huge amount of people from Ohio that have joined us. We have our MD from India that has joined us. Thank you for that. But really, first of all, we want to thank all the suppliers because we did this for you. Okay? And we got a little greedy, and we also got a little ambitious in the sense that in order to make you all better, we thought we are just not equipped to give you all the feedback and the tools and the advice and the counsel you need. And so we reached out to our important customers that actually help drive the direction of MES, and they can give you some insights as well. So we are very, very fortunate that customers and friends, these are long-term friends that you are going to see here at the panel, is we've known them for years, we've done business together, we've had a lot of challenges together, we've had a lot of failures together, and we've had a lot of successes together. So we do feel like, you don't achieve anything quickly. You have to put the institution in place, you got to put policies, structures, and get people in place to succeed. So that's what we've been doing. Mexico has gone through huge turbulence for us. It was a customer-facing teams from 2011 that we started. And it all started in 2011 when in summer I was visiting one of the Acuity Brands plant in Indiana. And they said the Cochrane plant is going to be moving their lines to Monterey. And so I called, we were probably 6 people, 8 people at that time in our office. And I called Randy and Bob and I said, hey, these guys are moving this Cochrane stuff that we have a lot of shipments to, we have a lot of new tools to Monterey, Mexico. We should be also going to Mexico. And they thought I was nuts. They're like, your connection is not good. Call us back. So we called them back in about 45 minutes. And I'm serious, guys. They're moving. We're going to have to move. Okay. We can't just be a supply chain partner from India and China, which we were at that time, but we got to be in customer wherever. We just got to figure out where the customers are and try supporting them. So we ship to probably 15 countries around the world, Dominican Republic, all kinds of countries in Europe. We buy from about 18 countries now. And so in Mexico, we started growing there. We used a 3PL, which was really a disaster. It was a very bad service. So we said we will build our own warehousing capability. And we started doing that. So we've learned all this in the process of how to run a warehouse, how to source, and all of that. And then we basically had our first warehouse in Apodaca in 2015, I think, yeah. We renewed, and then we moved last year because it was getting too tight and all of that. We're planning for growth. Nipul, our MD, visited India warehouse last couple of months back here, and he's like, "Why are you building all these bigger than what you need stuff?" Because I said, "We anticipate growth, um, and we anticipate growth because we are doing things right for our customers, we are doing things right for our suppliers, and we're offering a wide array of stuff that they can pick from, you know." So very fortunate that we are where we are. We got MX, and so Mexico is a very big part of our thing. Out of 260 associates globally, 95 are in Mexico. It's almost half of our business in terms of sales. We ship to Mexico. About 55% of inventory runs through Mexico. So it's a big part of our story. And to add to it, in 2018, when tariffs hit, customers came to us saying, "Can you do some sourcing in Mexico?" And for years, I actually defied our team, like, "No, we don't need to source in Mexico because every customer can buy in Mexico themselves. We don't need to buy for them." Okay, we didn't see any value at all. So deliberately, we kind of stayed out of Mexico, even though we had some opportunities in 15, 16, 17, 18. But when tariffs hit, we're like, okay, we got to do something. And then COVID hit. So all of a sudden, everybody wanted to near source, and all of us, our supply customers here, are looking for suppliers. So if you're looking to grow, you're in the right place. But we switched over the last 24 months from a customer-facing entity to a supplier sourcing entity as well. So Mexico is like everything. It's got complete warehousing, is a vertically integrated from buying, inventory planning, quality management, sourcing, supplier audits, all the way into warehousing and shipping just in time. So this adds a huge breadth for our customers, to do more work with us. We were very diplomatic in our mission from the get-go. I wrote this when I was a sales rep, so 2003 and 4. Okay, so I didn't know what I was doing back then. Sometimes we still don't. But creating win-win solutions for our customers, exciting and challenging work environment for our team members, and developing quality suppliers across the globe. It's not picking quality suppliers, it's developing, because we work with you on trying to teach you certain things, and we learn some things along the way. Operating values and principles, this is not just, we talk about this every month in our metrics meeting. We take one value, we look at some examples of how somebody practiced it. Okay, so whether it's appreciation or whether it's escalations quickly, whether it's developing the metrics, sometimes we don't measure things, so we ask them to measure alignment, ownership, cost consciousness, all of that. It all comes into play when we are providing our customers and working with our suppliers. We'll give you a quick backdrop of China. I'm sure all of you guys have heard. To bring this down, basically, we are concerned about the geopolitical situation. 6 years back, 95% of our purchase was from China. Today, it's maybe 50%, 55%, and it's going to continue to go smaller. And we hate it. We absolutely hate it because we have an amazing group of Chinese team members. We have fantastic suppliers that have grown with us. It is just unfortunate. We would rather grow the pie and grow Mexico, but that's not the case right now. We're being forced into a situation, and our customers are forced into a situation where they have to do something more domestic. It's at the expense of something which we don't like. We like growing the pie, all that, but it is what it is. We're always going to read the tea leaves and do what's needed to keep the business and keep the team going, we keep our customers' plans running. But there is semiconductor issue at stake. The wars continue to escalate. U.S. is now thinking of banning some of the Chinese equities. The semiconductor investment of $52 billion that Biden administration announced is going to be further, delinking China. We are at war in terms of semiconductor supply, in terms of exotic mineral supply, and all of these other electronics. We are at war. There's no question about it. We want to delink. There's a very clear demarcation politically and economically to get away from each other. China is at least 6 to 7 years behind almost every technology except EV. Okay? So if you look at the 5 main platforms that China is trying to build, they're at least except for EV, they're 5 to 7 years behind. How much time will it take to catch up? How will it catch up? If it ever catches up, we don't know. But it's very clear that we do need to have a solution. And the whole bubble of China doing something in Taiwan, obviously everybody wonders about it, everybody's scared about it, and we don't know what to do about it, except that we just can't buy from China at that time. So we expect, if there are different war situations that are played out by US military and everything else, the more of the reading I've done basically shows that the ocean blockade is the first thing that will happen. The containers will be the first ones that stop, okay? So day one of the war, the ships will stop moving. So across every single war play, that's the given. So that's really what we are trying to help our customers prepare for. If those boats stop, what's going to keep your lines running? Okay. And so Xi Jinping is elected again for a third term. Probably he'll stay there until he passes away. That's just the nature of it. Macroeconomics in Mexico, this is something obviously you guys are all facing. We forgot to put the graph in, but it was stellar how that index to base rate in Mexico has grown from 5-6% to almost 12. You just do not want to borrow anything right now, and we understand it. We have our business. We would hate to borrow at this rates as well. I don't know how we can ever survive if you're buying machines at 12% and then trying to be competitive for these global customers. It's just it's a dichotomy. It's a very difficult situation that you guys have been placed in. We recognize it. Capacity is very constrained. When Randy and I used to go to China and we would basically say, hey, this is the purchase order we're looking to negotiate, the machine would be there even before our bloody POs went to them. 700-ton press, 500-ton press, 300-ton press. It was just like nothing. So cost of credit availability, everything was so easily available in China, and it still is for capital equipment, that it's very tough to compete in that space against them. You could have a ground up factory and within 9 months have 9 machines and we had 1% interest rate, and you can have 30 years to pay for it. So it just that economic system doesn't exist here. So you guys have a rough deck of hands to start with. We recognize it. The another one big one is, you may not be aware, but to ship a container from Mexico City to Ohio or Michigan is almost $5,000, maybe more. And Shanghai to Ohio is less right now. Except for those 18 months of the nonsense COVID-related increases, we've been at 5,000. The trucking rates have actually gone up since 2019, and they look to be up for a long, long time. Because the gas is going to be at $100 a barrel. It just does not flow well. The labor is getting more and more shortages. There's at least 40% shortage in truckers right now. I mean, you could make $90,000-$95,000 in US to be a trucker and have a very reliable job for the next decade. Okay? And they are in demand. So, but it's really interesting how that is impacting the work we do here. Also, because of the trucking requirement mandates and the limitations of 12 hours, the Mexico City, we've shipped Monterey to Ohio, it takes 6 days. If it comes a weekend, it's going to be 9 to 10 days. Okay? You can have a container from Shanghai to Ohio in 27. So you're not too far off. So what does that all mean? It just means that we're trying to educate you on what you're navigating against, what you're competing against. Okay, the customers, we operate in a variety of different industries. Last year, we did 1,330 or 1,350 RFQs. We received 6,700 supplier quotes globally across 154 customers. So we got a little crazy actually on this case. So since last August and September, you're going to see fewer and fewer quotes. Randy will talk a little bit about our customer focus. We have 22 customers that we've kind of said as orange customers that we have potential to get to $3 to $5 million over 24 months. Not potential, as well as our drive. So some of them are here today. We're doing a lot of work in e-mobility. Except for Tesla, we've talked to most of the EVs out there. We're doing some prototypes for them. We're doing some production for them. This is a very start and stop market right now. Okay? It's a very difficult space to be in, but we are positioning ourselves among all of the top executives and purchasing community to be at the leading edge when the volumes do go up and when they do actually refine their requirements better. Okay? So you'll see a series of RFQs, very few coming to Mexico, because we see that you guys are not even able to cope up with what you got right now, okay? To be blunt. So So to throw something new just as the development expense is almost unfathomable right now. So all the development stuff we're doing either in China or India, but when it goes to production, which it will, then I think Mexico suppliers will obviously be a key beneficiaries of that. We work in a variety of different things. About 50-60% of our sales is die castings, but we have amazing growth in iron, in steel, in forgings, in aluminum forgings, in machine parts, all of that. So we're tier 1 into this. We're looking to be tier 1 by Q2 for Volvo, Stellantis very closely as well, and there's one more, I forget. So we have a huge pipeline of customers. Again, most of these other things are non-aluminum, but again, extrusions, all of that. One last thing I'll leave you with is that some of you guys have been die casters for a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. I know at least 4 decades in a couple of cases. I'm losing my voice. Is okay? Can you hear? Okay, yeah. But across all of these 5 main customers here, we know about $740 million of spend. Okay? So you don't need to look too far to market. We can help you. We can get you in front of these buyers right now. But there are a series of things you will have to do to help them and help us. Okay? And that's what we're going to spend the rest of the day talking about. So thank you very much for being here. We appreciate all the customer suppliers. And we'll go through panelists, and I'll hand off to a really good friend and an amazing colleague, Randy. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Iten. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Randy Rhodes, Vice President of Global Sourcing. I've had the opportunity to meet some new people today. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to sharing a little bit more info with you. First thing, when Hitem was talking, the first thing that came to my mind was we got serious about sourcing in Mexico back in 2020. And die casting was our major need. And it was actually pre-COVID was when we started the search. We found a couple of good partners. And I remember the comment that kept coming up when we would send them, we'd send out test RFQs first. Just, we don't want to waste everybody's time. Make sure there's some competitiveness there with suppliers. The instant response back was, well, if you're getting this from China, we can't compete. And that's a thought, right? We're getting it from China, we can't compete, but that's not true. I mean, there were projects that Mexico was dollar for dollar. There were projects that Mexico beat China pricing on, delivered to the customer. So we need to get rid of the idea that China is so cheap we can't compete, because we can. Hitem mentioned some things that we think are a big advantage for Mexico that may not be as big of an advantage as we think. But at the end of the day, for the right projects, Mexico is the right place, not China. So, I wanted to, it was just in my mind. I had that discussion 30 times with suppliers. Oh, quote this. I don't want to quote it. You're getting it from China. I can't compete. Yeah, you can't quote it. Let's see where we're at. So, keep that in mind. One of the things I wanted to start with today is just kind of an overview of where our current supplier locations are in Mexico. Hitem kind of showed the timeline of our growth in Mexico. And I think now is a really popular time to focus on Mexico. I talk to suppliers all the time. Opportunities are at an all-time high. Everybody wants to be in Mexico. But let me ask you a question. Who's been in Mexico? Right? Not who started last year looking, but who's been in Mexico? Who's got roots in Mexico? And in 10 years, who's going to be in Mexico? And that's us. We are here to stay. We've put roots down, and our supplier locations right now are kind of towards the center. But there's no limitations for us in Mexico and where we'll go to find the right suppliers and source the business. The only reason we're in the center right now is because we haven't had to go any further yet. But the north, the south, the east, the west, when we look at this in 2 years, you're going to see orange dots all over this map. And that's our intention. And today, I don't care, every supplier that's here, I don't care where you're from. We are interested in talking to you about the opportunities that we have from a lot of these customers in these first 4 tables. We went ahead and popped in our locations, and I would guess probably in a couple years you'll probably see another blue dot or 2 on there also, because we will continue investing in Mexico and continue putting roots down in Mexico.
Well, I'm excited to be here. So as Randy mentioned, he alluded, in his presentation to mesh audit. And mesh, we're going to go through a little deeper on exactly what we do. So you guys are familiar with MES. You're familiar with metrics, metrics companies in Mexico and Vietnam and Taiwan. But there's 2 other businesses as well in the Metrics Holdings family. And that's Metrics Works, which is the machining operations, and then Mesh, which is a software provider of SaaS solutions for manufacturing organizations. And more specifically on purchasing, sourcing, and quality. So one of the things, before I get deeper into this, I want to make sure that that all of you guys know that Mesh and MES are 2 different companies, okay? MES is a full-service global manufacturing and supply chain partner. They deliver components just in time to your plants, to your factories, to your assembly locations. And then Mesh is a software provider that allows all those teams to do their jobs effectively, in a digital transformative way. So, as we highlight the differences between MES and Mesh, and making sure that, the teams are separate as well, Mesh has its own team. Mesh has a team of sales and marketing, as well as product management, and then engineering. That's scattered across US, Europe, and India, as you can see on the screen. And then we also have supplier quality auditors, which is a really exciting thing that we're doing. I'm really excited about it. I know our team is really excited about it. And we'll go into a little more details on exactly what mesh sourcing is. Randy talked about the mesh audit. The MES team uses the mesh audits that we do. Now, mesh audits are not for MES, okay? Mesh audits are an audit that our teams do. And you can see we have auditors scattered across Mexico, Europe, India, China, and Vietnam. So where, you guys might be thinking, okay, where did mesh start? Where did it come from? Back in 2014, MES had developed an internal tool, okay? So, Hiten, Randy, they talked about the growth of Mexico, but also the business as well. And as the amount of countries continued to grow, as the amount of suppliers continued to grow, the RFQ and the quoting process became more and more complex, right? And so in 2014, MES had developed an internal tool. That internal tool allowed them to create quotes, integrate their supply base, share the quotes with the suppliers, receive the pricing back from suppliers, compare and award, okay? And now 2 years later, they'd built on, so the end of that RFQ process is this award, right? This PO. Well, what happens after that? There's this tooling, development, new product introduction process. And in the auto industry, as probably a lot of you guys are familiar with, it's APQP. It's an industry standard that the Automotive Industry Action Group came out with, I think around the 1950s or 60s. That was initially actually started by Ford. And a variety of different automobile manufacturers. So from 2015 until 21, as you can see on the screen, there was thousands of quotes, thousands of quality projects scattered across hundreds of users globally, okay? And one of the things that when I was interning in 2017, spent about 6 weeks in China, and was exposed to both customers and suppliers. And they would keep saying, hey, what is that system you guys are using? When our engineers can pull up one screen and show the whole tracking of all of the APQP project, show all the documentation in one place. A lot of customers were like, wait, what is that? Can I get my hands on that? And so what we did, in 2020 was spin it off and make Mesh commercialize the product, commercialize the platform, build its own team. And we realized early on that, hey, if we were going to build this platform, then we had to be a best-in-class software company, right? And that was a journey that we've started, since 2020, and I think we've made a lot of progress over the last 2-3 years to become that software company. And you saw the resources in 2020 when we started. It was me and John here, and now we have almost 30 employees across the world. So there's two specific personas that we're trying to solve for, okay? And one of the things you'll hear is, most of these people are in what we would call Excel hell, okay? They're in hundreds of documents, whether it's a buyer, whether it's quotes, PDFs from suppliers, or it's an engineer, drawings, engineering specifications. And what happens with all that information is it's all scattered. You don't know where it is, and the amount of time that you spend going through emails, going through SharePoint folders, going through a Dropbox. Hey, I don't have access to that. Hey, can you give me access? Oh, he's traveling. Okay, I get access in 2 days. Well, this workflow is not very easy to work with. So where do the things break down? The information is scattered and there's hundreds of documents, okay? So there's kind of the transparency is not there, the collaboration is not there, and ultimately that leads to lower productivity. Now, one of the things that we'll also highlight as we go through this presentation is there's a lot of collaboration and different stakeholders in this process. So there's two use cases for mesh sourcing, okay? A lot of the suppliers, the small, mid-sized suppliers, you guys might be looking for opportunities to expose yourself, gain new business. Hey, I have open capacity because this project is ending. How do you share that with the buyers who are, globally? Right now in our system, we have between, I think, 50 and 100 total buyers, and purchasing people using it. And they are looking to find new suppliers in some cases, whether that's in a specific region or a specific commodity or process. And so, mesh sourcing gives all of you suppliers an ability to expose all of your capabilities, all your skills, your capacity, the equipment, all of the things that you would want to share with a potential buyer, you're able to do through the mesh sourcing portal. Now, on the flip side, for some of the customers here, who are buying globally and trying to find new suppliers, as somebody from the sales side, says, hey, we're going to increase the amount of castings we do next year or the amount of forgings we do next year. Well, that might lead you to having to strategically develop a new supplier base or deepen the supply base. And so Mesh allows those buyers as well to find the different suppliers based on region, material, commodity, and also based on the rating. So mesh sourcing, the idea is to connect the buyers and connect the suppliers and create that kind of that network that people can work within. Now, one of the important things that of the sourcing, procurement, and engineering workflow is that it's very interconnected, right? There's a lot of departments, stakeholders like we talked about, but even more so, there's a lot of handoffs that happen. And those handoffs are not just functional handoffs, they're handoffs of information, handoffs of documentation. Oftentimes there may be a PO that's triggering, the conversion from a purchasing and sourcing team to a product launch, NPI, NPD team. And so how are all these workflows and handoffs managed through Mesh?
So what I'd like to do is this part of our event, we've been fortunate to get 5 of our customer representatives, executives, leaders that do a lot of work in Mexico sourcing. In fact, most of their initiatives circle around Mexico sourcing and stuff. So we have some questions we'll go through, and we can, whoever wants to answer, raise hands, or I'll point them to you guys. So we'll pick the ones to answer that. So having said that, I guess I want to invite our panelists one at a time. First one, Honeywell Strategic Sourcing Manager, Aram Gonzalez. Come on, Aram. Thanks, bro. Second, Acuity Brands Director of Sourcing, New Products, Juan Carlos Flores. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Clariance Technologies VP of Global Procurement, Kevin Krause. Thanks. We have a regional commodity manager, actually moved from India 15 months back in Mexico. So I want to ask him a question or two about Mexico immigration. Sanjay Parmar. Thanks. And finally, the first time I met this lady today, but I heard about her about a month back. I'm like, where have you been for the last 2 years? So, procurement director for Signify, Wendy Estivales Sapientes. So what we'll do is, if we can, do we have the mics maybe? Oh, yeah, okay. Two is fine, right? One at a time. Maybe start with you, Aram. If you can give us a little, as far as give a little background about yourself, your work, and what type of commodities and spend you manage. Anything you feel comfortable, just so the audience has a sense of the type of work you do.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet all of you. So my name is Aram Gonzalez. I work for actual Honeywell since 2020. My experience previous is with one of the same companies that is on the name here, Schneider Electric, for almost 7 years. I'm currently managing all the metals specific for castings, stampings, plastics, and machining for one of the division in Honeywell named PMT. So the global spend that we manage there is about $160 million, where the machining and the castings are one of the top offenders there. So we are looking for make a strategy to generate more business into Mexico, move it out from Europe and also from Americas in US. And we are trying to stop avoiding buying more from China source. So that's why we are here to try to develop more synergy with MES and the supply base that they have, so we can have a better supply base in Mexico instead of move everything to overseas.
Thanks, Aram. Juan Carlos, please.
Well, Juan Carlos Flores. I work for Acuity Brands. I have been working for Acuity for maybe 20 years. Right now, I'm over new product introduction sourcing. I'm the director of that area. Basically, we do a little bit of everything. Team working with electronics to die castings, right? One of our biggest spends right now, it's over die castings and metal parts. Our spend is around $120 million on die castings alone, and it's a great opportunity to have you all here to at least communicate a little bit on what we do, how we do it, and some expectations, right? Same as Aram, we're trying to move away from long lead times and long supply chains, so we can have components close to our factories. Inventory is one of the biggest constraints that we want to avoid, and having you close to our manufacturing operations, it's a huge benefit. There is a picture that was on the news maybe 3 days ago about the Chinese president and Putin shaking hands.
Yes.
That's scary, right? So we need to work around that.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Kraus. I'm the head of global procurement for Clariance Technologies. For those of you who haven't heard of Clariance, we own now, I think, 8 or 10 different brands. A lot of it is in the commercial vehicle space, but a lot of it's LED lighting for transportation. Since I joined the company in 2019, we've basically doubled in size. Our strategy is to acquire more and more companies. So a lot of potential for growth. I think every week, my CEO asks me one way or another, what have we moved out of China this week? So there's a lot of pressure within our organization to move as much as we can away from China and even Taiwan. Ideally, that would be to North America, right? And Mexico is a great place for that. So that's one of the reasons I came down this week. Really interested in finding more die cast, extrusion, and other suppliers located here in Mexico that can support our businesses.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I represent Schneider Electric. We are a technology company. We provide energy and automation digital solution for our customers. When I talk about the Schneider, it is a global company having a headquarters in France. We have a presence in more than 100 countries with a sales revenue of around $34 billion in the last year. When I talk about specific to North America footprint, we have 30 manufacturing facilities located in Canada, US, and Mexico. And it represents almost 30% of the Schneider sales revenue. So the North America is the key region for the Schneider. When I talk about Mexico, in Mexico, we have 10 manufacturing facilities. On top of that, Schneider is investing heavily in Mexico. Last year, we started 2 new facilities, one in Monterrey and the second in Tlaxcala, to meet our growing demands in the region. So Mexico is the epicenter for the growth when I talk about the Schneider Electric. My name is Sanjay Kumar Ramajibhai. It is a long name. Probably you cannot even remember. So you can call me Sanjay. I have been with Schneider Electric since last 12 years. Out of 12, 10 and a half years I spent in Schneider India. And since last 15 months, as Ethan said, I'm in Mexico. So it is like 180-degree movement from India to here in Mexico. So far, it has been a great journey. I have been dealing with like 40 plus suppliers here in the region and have been working with a couple of more suppliers to meet our growing demands in the casting, forging, machining, and the spring category. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Last but not least, my name is Wendy Cifuentes. I'm the Procurement Director of Commodity Management for the Americas for Signify. I have been in the position within the last 3 months, I think. Previous to that, I used to be in charge as a procurement business partner, mostly focused on costing, new products introduction, and every single, time to market and try to reach IGMs and all that kind of stuff. Previous to that, actually, I used to work for Schneider Electric for 10 years. From the operational side to also the commercial side, handling different commodities. I translated myself to Signify 6 years ago. I have a lot of experience on steel, aluminum, copper, and all that kind of stuff. Die casting I'm still learning, but from my side or from the Signify side, our current basically spend for components, it's around 250 million. And just as I had the same problem as all of these gentlemen here, big challenge is nearshoring, right? If we summarize what's nearshoring is basically to get closer to our main customer, which is the US, of course. So that comes with a lot of challenges, especially on the cost side and the market perspective. There is a lot of commodities that are being driven by Asia that, 15 years ago, everyone was talking about globalization, and everyone was moving out from North America to Asia. I was even part of those big changes. And right now we are turning things around and getting back. And of course, I mean, we need your help, guys, to, think outside the box, and maybe not to only focus on what we can get out of the region on, just as Randy mentioned, and it was, his comment was really accurate when he said, sometimes even suppliers are afraid to quote because they usually said, we are not going to beat Chinese, and I think that is not, the case most of the times if we actually focus on total cost of ownership, when we add inventory levels, when we add freight costs, when we add a lot of stuff that you can bring onto the table and make yourselves more attractive for our companies. And of course, MES has been a very good partner of us, and I'm actually believe we can do great things together, and that's what we are basically looking for. And our opportunity, for example, as for Signify, we have around between 300 and 400 million dollars out of products that we bring out of Asia and just relabel it. And part of my challenge as a procurement director for components is like, make this thing happen locally. But it's I buy currently luminaires, and then right now splitting that into components, it makes a big challenge, not only in die casting but also in plastics, metal parts, many other commodities. So hopefully we can do something good together going forward.
Outstanding. Keep the mic with you, Wendy. I'm gonna go the first question with you. In 2011, I visited Signify, which is Cooper Lighting Plant in Vicksburg, and over an 8-hour shift, their powder coating line used to do maybe 6, 7, 8 colors. 7 years later, in 2018, I visited, and they were doing 23 to 26 colors every shift. Okay, so the amount of changes they were making was incredible. And my question is related to, that's an explosion in SKUs, right? Number of part number, just, to an engineer, it just looks like I just added a thing. A sales guy, I'm just only adding 2, but there are 6 components going into it, mating colors. You just multiplied your SKUs by 12, and it's so complicated. So the high mix, low volume, can you give us a sense, all of you, a little bit on how this is changing for you in terms of not just, I know there's a product rationalization across almost every customer, like, okay, let's really stop selling it if it's not making money or if it's too hard to do, whatever. But the customers are still looking for more configurations, more options, more variants. So it'd be great for this group to kind of understand a little bit of the sense of how complicated has it gotten for you. Maybe let's start with you.
Yeah, Signify is a lighting company. So, I mean, the industry has been evolving over the years, of course, and right now, and I mean, new generations, in the past, and I was talking to my dad, a few weeks back, and everyone was actually talking about, all generations were actually trying not to change too many things, and they were looking for maybe long-term parts in terms when you talk about lighting, when you talk about anything. I think you all can relate to that. New generations, in the other hand, and that's pretty much coming, starting with millennials and then, Generation Z. It's pretty much they are looking for changes every maybe 2 or 3 years, in terms of new products, in terms of more varieties, in terms of everything. That actually makes the business to be more complex, because now you have customers that even want to launch, very different things in eccentric colors and things like that. So we need to create the right partnerships within our vendors to actually go there, because just talking about in the lighting industry, 5 years ago, 60% of our volume was MTS. Was pretty much, product out of the shelf, normal industrial products, our architectural business was representing around 30%, something like that. But right now, our demand for MTS products has been reducing to 40%. That means that 20% that got reduced, it's right now either an ETO or what we call a CTO, which is basically the same product, maybe in a pink color, which is like it makes difference, and it makes, a challenge for the whole team to have that availability, so that's totally true.
Awesome. And let's just pass it on. Let's go on because the high mix, low volume is such a big part of our discussion.
Yeah, and it is the story across. It is the same story across the board. When I talk about the Schneider Electric, in Schneider Electric, basically we have three clusters. So we are dividing our business into three groups. One is the ETO, that is engineering to order. Then we have the CTO, and then we have the MTS. When we talk about the MTS and CTO, we have the volumes. Those are the kind of high to medium volume parts. But when we talk about the ETO, those are the specific to customer requirements. We are engineering the product based on the customer input. And sometimes customers are looking for one product, sometimes customers are looking for 1,000 or maybe 10,000. It depends. So what we need to do as a customer, we need to provide the total solution. We cannot say no for one. If we want the total package, then we need to say yes for one, as well as we need to say yes for 10,000. So we work internally how to meet those requirements, how to do the engineering for one product, as well as how to do the engineering for 100,000 products. We work internally. Same time, what we expect our suppliers to be prepared for this kind of requirement. I do not want a supplier who is only interested in like high volume parts. Then for the low volume or the medium volume parts, I need to find a new solution. That is not the expectation. What we are looking for a one-stop solution. The suppliers who are in a position to meet the mix, the high volume parts, medium volume parts, and even the low volume parts. And that's where MES fits. With MES, we have parts wherein our volume is like 80,000, 100,000 pieces a year. And then we have parts wherein we need like yearly 100 quantities. And we get that solution. And that's what we expect from you. We want you to be ready for this kind of mix, to handle this kind of mix. I hope I have.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please.
Similar to what Wendy and Sanjay said, our business, we range from things that are pretty standard, higher volumes, but then a lot of our higher end products, customers have very high expectations, and we're having to constantly redesign, keep ahead of our competitors. And so we end up with these low volume, higher mix products. And somebody alluded to it earlier. A lot of times we have suppliers not interested in that portion of the business. They want all the high volume stuff, but no, they're not interested in the low volume stuff. Well, the reality is our customers want both. And so we really need suppliers that are willing to support both. And maybe you can be creative about solving it. Maybe say for an aluminum extrusion, 80% of them are a certain length and the other 20% are different lengths. So can you make the extrusions all to one length and then cut them as we change orders? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, but are there creative things that you can do with those sorts of products that allow you to maybe make the same base part and then you customize it later? Those sorts of things.
Lead times not being available or capacity not being available. So I would encourage you to be proactive in managing both your lead times and your capacity, because I promise there is opportunity there, and it is going to increase every month for the next couple of years. We are seeing more and more come back. So,
any other questions you want to add to? We talked about lead times, we talked about engineering talent, BFM, anything from Hubble perspective.
So the one thing on the tooling lead times, I understand that some of that is out of your hands in some ways. I would encourage you to be proactive in letting us know upfront what you need to help expedite that. Also, many of us do have contacts in this field that we can assist you with if you're not getting the lead time from your tooling providers that's beneficial. So tooling lead time, it's very, very difficult if you're coming back in 14 to 16 weeks. We need to be to market before then. A lot of times we are seeing significant delays getting product to customers. One more thing that I would mention, the overall lead times that we are seeing currently out of China on my team are 4 and 4. So 4 weeks for production, 4 weeks for shipment. If you guys are coming back over 8 weeks of production lead time, you most likely are going to be behind the 8 ball there. But there are still things that we can work on together.
So I'd have to try to follow all these great speakers we've already had and trying to keep your attention the right effort. Try to do my best. So as Randy said, I'm Eric Ferner. I'm the Director of Global Supply Chain for NES. I wanted to start out with what I feel like is the most important topic, and that's communication. Our top suppliers that we have are ones that prioritize. Unexpected issues are always going to happen. But what's important is how we react to those issues, and communication is the key. I ask that all partners for full transparency in every conversation. Share bad news quickly and openly so we can assess if there will be any issues and we can shuffle priorities or make alternative arrangements to meet our focus. We have to create a robust process for acknowledging PO with this 24 hours of receipt and consistently provide production plans, predefined business standards for PO receipt. Share details of any delay for expected timeline or downtime. One core value that it been showed earlier was escalation. We've made it a core part of our business, and we want you to make.
Dentro de los procesos en los cuales estamos participando, algunos de forma parcial, otros de forma completa, se encuentran los que ustedes pueden ver en la pantalla. El primero de ellos es el desarrollo de proveedores. En este proceso trabajamos de la mano de sourcing para poder evaluar a nuestros nuevos proveedores. Sourcing evalúa, como ya lo mencionaron anteriormente, los temas de capacidad, beneficios o contribuciones que pudieran tener nuestros proveedores, y por la parte de calidad se evalúa el sistema de gestión de calidad. En esta parte entra el equipo de sistema de gestión de calidad, tanto para hacer una auditoría de sistema como para poder mejorar en aquellos puntos donde encontramos áreas de mejora con los proveedores. Es decir, no basta, o nuestro trabajo no termina con solamente realizar una auditoría y emitir una calificación, sino que es parte de nuestra responsabilidad llevar al punto óptimo a todos nuestros proveedores para poder seguir trabajando con ellos durante el desarrollo de los proyectos. Entonces, es parte de uno de los procesos que manejamos dentro del área de calidad. El siguiente es el desarrollo de proyectos. Una vez que el proveedor ya está dentro de las listas como proveedores de MES, se le asignan proyectos. Este proceso ya va de la mano con los ingenieros de proyectos, en el cual ellos mantienen la comunicación tanto con los clientes como con los manufactureros y los toolmakers. Tenemos diferentes tipos de proyectos, va desde transferencias de moldes, cambios de ingeniería o el desarrollo de piezas completamente nuevas, donde intervienen los diseños de moldes, los DFMs. Entonces, dependiendo del tipo de proyectos que manejamos, pues es lo largo del periodo que se lleva a cabo, ¿no? Además de este tipo de proyectos, pues estamos alineados a los core tools, a todos los requerimientos de la industria automotriz, aplicando el APQP, el PPAP, CPK, MEF, MCAs, SPC, y todo esto tenemos la ventaja de que tenemos el portal Mesh, del cual también ya previamente durante la mañana nos platicaron, para poder llevar un control de toda esta información. El portal lo está utilizando prácticamente todo MES en cualquier parte del mundo, tanto China, India, México, y es una gran herramienta para poder identificar las áreas de oportunidad o los desarrollos que hemos tenido en los diferentes proyectos en diferentes locaciones y poder tomar lecciones aprendidas con los nuevos proveedores o los nuevos productos que estamos desarrollando. Adicional a esto, es importante mencionar que el área de proyectos o parte de las actividades y responsabilidades de proyectos no terminan únicamente con lanzar un proyecto o tener un PPAP aprobado por el cliente, sino que es parte de nuestra responsabilidad de estar monitoreando por lo menos los primeros embarques para poder así asegurar que la calidad que estamos liberando durante el desarrollo del proyecto se mantenga para la producción en serie. Como saben, es sumamente importante asegurar que tanto la calidad del producto como los requerimientos que se establecieron en el arranque de los proyectos se mantengan durante la producción. Al final de cuentas, todos sabemos que es parte del objetivo, sin embargo, es una tarea a veces difícil de mantener, ¿verdad? Generalmente con el tiempo a veces se van perdiendo los controles o simplemente no quedó clara a veces la información. Entonces, parte del objetivo, parte de las actividades del área de proyectos es poder asegurar ese lanzamiento óptimo durante la producción en serie. Después tenemos recientemente incorporada el área de moldes. En este tipo de proceso pues ya tenemos un área especializada en el diseño y la verificación de los moldes, de todos los diseños de moldes y trim dies. Adicional, encontramos una gran área de oportunidad para poder mantener los procesos durante la producción en serie. ¿Qué quiere decir esto? Necesitamos también un seguimiento a los moldes en cuanto a los tiempos de vida, a los retoolings, a los mantenimientos correctivos, a los mantenimientos preventivos. Entonces, todo esto ya tenemos un área encargada de estarle dando seguimiento en este tipo de temas. Lo que sí es control de calidad. En esta parte tenemos dos tipos o manejamos dos equipos de trabajo en el área de control de calidad. Uno de ellos son los SQE. Ellos están situados cerca de los proveedores de manufactura. El objetivo es que estén monitoreando constantemente el producto o haciendo validaciones y siendo apoyo para los proveedores ante cualquier duda o hallazgo que tengan sobre los productos. En este punto, pues vamos de la mano con el área de supply chain, con la importancia que mencionaba Eric acerca de la notificación de problemas en tiempo y una reacción rápida ante ellos, porque básicamente nuestros planes de producción, pues prácticamente muchos de ellos están just in time, o sea, no podemos o no tenemos días para poder reaccionar. Entonces, la comunicación que haya entre los proveedores y nosotros es sumamente importante para poder garantizar el abasto del producto con una calidad deseada. Entonces, esa es parte de la importancia de las actividades de los SQE. Por el otro lado, también me gustaría comentar que para nosotros es muy importante el apoyo que nos han dado como proveedores, ya que sabemos que esta actividad es diferente a lo que se maneja normalmente en México, ¿no? Generalmente el proveedor es quien pone un residente con el cliente y es el que está dando monitoreo de la calidad de su producto. Aquí no, aquí nuestro enfoque es al revés, o sea, y al revés con la finalidad de mejorar y de prevenir, ¿no?, costos adicionales o costos de no calidad, que es que nosotros tenemos una persona de MES, los SQE, directamente en sitio de los proveedores para poder trabajar de la mano y poder evitar que el producto, por ejemplo, un producto no conforme, pase a las siguientes etapas del proceso si no estar validado, si no estar verificado tanto por el proveedor como por nosotros. Entonces, eso es parte del enfoque que tiene el control de calidad. Igual hacemos uso de la aplicación de Mesh, sumamente útil también porque eso nos da la oportunidad de que los SQE, cuando se encuentran en sitio de proveedor, si llegan a detectar o si el proveedor nos está notificando algún issue de calidad, por ejemplo, es de fácil acceso.
Thank you, Rocio. I have a quick question for all the suppliers here. Quality presentation was excellent. How many of you guys get calls from your customers all the time that the quality of your parts are great? Right? How many times do you get a call if there's a bad part that your part is bad? Right? We all get that. I'm here to tell you, the suppliers that we work with in Mexico, you guys do a great job on quality, but we can do better. And I think that the focus for us has to be on continuing to get better. My dad used to say, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. Nobody ever stays the same, right? So we have to keep pushing forward or we're going to slide backwards. So thank you, Rocio. So Bobbin and I are going to tag team this next portion. We're going to go over a little bit of reshoring. I want to go through some stats and numbers, maybe get excited about what we've done and that opportunity is still there, number one. And then I also want to go over we talked about a little bit in the first part, but DFM expectations and project management expectations. Before I get into this, though, somebody dropped some pesos. So if you did, please come and see me because I have it. It was over in this area. So check. And if you did, please come and see me. So over the last 2 years, the reshoring effort has ramped up. It's been fast and furious, whether it's been customers that want their new business in Mexico, they want their current business in Mexico, or both. It's just really been fast. It's been hot. I tell people all the time, Mexico's hot. It's really, really hot right now. And my opinion, and this is just my opinion, but good times don't last forever. So what we need to do on the Mexico side is we need to grab what we can get while it's there to grab. Over the last 2 years, we have sourced and moved about $27 million worth of business, whether it be some new business that we got because they didn't want Asia, or business that we've actually moved specifically from China to Mexico that is either in production, in process, or will be going into production soon. That's a lot of money. You know, when you consider 2020, we virtually had no spend in Mexico. We were here as a customer support, not as a sourcing entity. So, you know, this is the time, and we are not done with the reshoring effort from our customers. I said it earlier today, but you know, 100% of the customers that come to us from North America are asking or demanding a Mexico option, and that opportunity is there for all of you. A lot of the large customers are going to continue to push reshoring. But one of the problems we have here, and we've also talked about this today, is, you know, capacity is not infinite in Mexico. And one of the reasons why customers come to MES is because they can't find suppliers in Mexico. You know, if you get on Google and you start looking for suppliers and you call them up, a lot of them are full. A lot of them aren't interested in your business. They, you know, that's not, we had one supplier that had an 800-ton machine completely available. We're like, hey, great. You know, we've got a lot of parts that fit in that size. We send them the parts to look at. They looked at them and they go, we're kind of saving it for automotive business. Wouldn't even quote it. I mean, that's how picky Mexico has been able to be, because the opportunities are there. But what I'm telling you is there's more, and customers just can't find you. And that's where we come in. We've got a team here that's done a fantastic job of reaching out to every one of you, explaining to you what we do, and bringing you here today. And we're not done. So now is the time. Let's figure out what we have to do to grab this opportunity while it's here. And if it lasts for 5 years, yay. If it doesn't, we've gotten what we could get while it was hot. I believe that current customers are going to continue to drive the reshoring effort for the short term. Again, you know, long term, I'm unsure. However, I do believe long term customer focus is going to be to continue to want a Mexico option. Now, you may have to, you know, we've got customers now for the first time that have said, I understand Mexico pricing is going to could be a little bit more expensive, but I'm okay with that if I reduce my inventory risk, or if you know, I don't have the risk of COVID shutdowns, and you know, that's great. But long term, they're going to want to see the Mexico price. We're going to have to be competitive, and we'll win that business. But you know, Mexico has gotten themselves on the map where I believe China had blinded people with the low prices and everything was running great. And COVID hit and made people realize, holy crap, what have we done? So it's not just aluminum die casting. We've been pushing into some other opportunities with extrusions. We've had some zinc opportunities that we've won. And then we've also had some machine parts and some painted parts that, you know, we've done some assemblies and things like that. So for those of you that are here today that are not die casters, die casting isn't the only area where we have customers that are coming to us looking to get out of Asia. And you know, quite frankly, it's not just, COVID didn't just scare people out of China. COVID scared people to try to get parts on the water and get them to their facility. You know, during the COVID shutdowns, you know, India had their fair share of shutdowns. Vietnam had their share of shutdowns. The shipping industry went haywire. Costs went through the roof, but it wasn't even just costs. You know, one of the things that we pivoted to do when the costs went up was we were booking everything priority. If you didn't book priority, you were not getting on a boat. Even with priority shipping, the month of October 2021, I believe it was, we didn't get a single container to leave China that month, the whole month. We were bringing 5, 6, 7, 8 containers a week to the port. Nothing got out that entire month. We kept getting rolled, and we paid priority. I'm talking, you know, at that time it was probably $14,000, $15,000, $16,000, $17,000 per container. We couldn't get a container out. I'll bet the trucks from Mexico were running, right? They didn't have to get on the water. So again, I just really want to implore you guys that the opportunity is at hand. We need to do what we can to get it while we've got it. If it lasts, that's great, and we just continue to grow. If it doesn't, we look back in the rearview mirror. We got no regrets. We had an opportunity and we seized it. We took it. Jumping quick into DFM. So the panelists talked about this. We talked about it a little bit up front, but the key, the engineering portion aside, the suggestions aside, by the time we get to DFM, we've won the project. Customers issued the PO. Any suggestions that we have been had, we said we can make the part. Okay, great. Here's the PO. Let's get this thing rolling. Now all of a sudden the clock starts. The tooling lead time doesn't start until we've got a agreed upon design. But how long is that design going to take? What are you going to do as a supplier, whether it's a tooling supplier or a die-cast supplier, to say, I'm not going to cost this project one single day, right? We're going to get this done. And what you're facing from a challenge is what the customers are used to that are reshoring. China suppliers are vertically integrated. We can get a
book. I wanted to introduce the sourcing team members that you guys have been dealing with so far. Marco, if you can stand up. AK, actually, if you can stand up. Yeah. Juan. He might be outside. Okay. And Omar. So I want to make sure you guys get to see the folks that you guys will have a lot of interaction with. So we have a small but growing team, and they're really passionate about growing the relationships in Mexico and building a strong supply base. And I think one of the things that I'm really thankful that no one else brought up here today is that we actually have more casters that are approved and in use in Mexico than we do in China currently. So that is a pretty awesome thing for us to be able to see over the last 2.5 years that we've been fully involved in pivoting our business into not just a customer-facing business, but also a supplier development, supplier-facing side as well. So, question for you guys. How many of you folks in here are married or have been married? All right, fair amount. Okay. So, do you feel marriage is a transactional business or transactional, or do you think it's relational, relationship-based? Depends on the day. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Sometimes when we're dealing with the kids, it can be very transactional. Fair enough. But when you go through the process and you court each other and you get married, it's a relationship that you've built, right? And that relationship takes time. It doesn't just happen magically. And frankly speaking, it doesn't go away very easily either. And it can be very expensive too if you have to make it go away. But the point I'm trying to make is, we're trying to develop relationships in Mexico with all of our suppliers. And we want them to be long-term relationships. So a part of that long-term relationship is learning what each person or each entity in the relationship needs from each other. What are the expectations? So what are MES's expectations of our suppliers? What are suppliers' expectations of MES? And we go through a similar process with our customers. I mean, Honda, Hiten said it took 5 years to finally get married with Honda. So this isn't easy, and the discussions are not always easy. But if we're committed to each other and we understand that there's value for each other, then it makes sense for us to move forward. And so one of the things that we tried to employ a few years ago, when Eric Turner was actually our sourcing manager many, many years ago, when we were smaller, is developed a purchasing handbook. And the purpose of that purchasing handbook was to share what's important to us. We wanted our supplier partners to see what we need them to do, what we commit to doing, what are the different processes that are involved as we work together, as we transact together and build a relationship over time. So one of the first things that's in our purchasing handbook is MES's mission and vision. So our mission is quite simple, and that is to deliver engineered solutions. We want to deliver engineered solutions to our customers, and that means more than just a transactional relationship. That means working together with our customers and our suppliers to be able to create the best solution for our customers, and doing it so that it is beneficial for everyone involved. So that leads to the vision. And our vision is pretty simple, and I'm hoping someone from MES can maybe say one of the first of the 3 tenets in MES's vision. Anyone brave enough to stand up? All right.
Solutions for our customer.
Yes. So thank you, Randy. So create win-win solutions for our customers. I'm going to take it a step further. What that really means, and as Randy has put it, we owe our suppliers things as well. It's again a relationship. So, even though you guys are suppliers, you're also a customer of us, because we owe you information. We owe you lots of connections, everything that goes in the relationship. So we need to develop win-win-win solutions for our customers, for our suppliers, and for MES. And that's how everyone continues to grow, and that's how everyone prospers in the process. The second one might not be as meaningful to you guys, but it's really important for us and our team as we grow and develop our team. And that is creating a challenging and exciting work environment for our global team. And I'm pretty sure that our Mexico team, the Equipo de México, can agree that we've definitely succeeded in making the environment challenging and exciting over the last 2.5 years as the pandemic has happened. But the whole initiative, the reshoring initiative, right? That's challenging as heck, completely. But we know this is our objective, and we're going to work towards it. And we want to make sure that the suppliers that we partner with, the ones that we build relationships with, also are working towards growing themselves, developing themselves, being able to meet the customer needs so that everyone continues to grow. And then the third one, and this is something that it has been ingrained in us over the last at least 12 years that I've been a part of it, and more than 12 years that Randy's been a part of it, is developing world-class suppliers globally. So that doesn't mean finding a world-class supplier, although we will take some of those as well. There's no doubt about that. But we want to make sure that we're providing value to our supply base too. So if in some cases suppliers don't need us, that's fine. It's okay. We want to make sure that we're growing the relationships with the partners that can benefit from working with us through not only our relationships and connections with our customers, but also the knowledge that our team has been able to gain over the years, the systems that we've been putting in place, and the training that we can share with our supply base. So we want to be able to grow. Now, we all make mistakes during some of the crazy growth cycles that we have, so I'm sure you guys have seen it. But again, during a relationship, we don't throw the relationship out for little things like that. We've got to work together to make everyone grow and everyone see the benefits of it. So one of the other things is ethics and values. So these are things we want to make sure that when we're operating in different countries, China, Mexico, Vietnam, in different countries in Europe and India, that we're following what are the expectations, the legal requirements of operating in those countries. Whether that's anti-slavery type things, whether it's child labor laws. And then sometimes it could be other environmental things that customers have a need for, like RoHS, REACH, Prop 65. There's a lot of different requirements out there from our customers. So the handbook is meant to give you guys some insights into some of those expectations and some of those requirements. Again, we want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible to our partner that we're working to develop together. It includes, basics like the confidentiality agreements. This is really critical. Our customers trust us to save their information. They are in a competitive business themselves. Each and every one of them has competitors. So they trust us to make sure that their information, their designs, their technology doesn't get shared.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. So part of the purpose of this conference was also to recognize some of you who have performed well, gone above and beyond. We're going to give some mesh awards away for suppliers that scored really well on the mesh audit. So, you guys work hard at this, and you deserve to be recognized, and we appreciate all of the things that you do for us. We've got some awards to give away. I wanted to start off. We thought it would be pretty cool to have a couple of our customers give away a couple awards. So Brenda, if you don't mind. Brenda is she works for Acuity. I don't remember the title, but I know she's a pretty big boss at one of the factories. So but we'll have Brenda give away the first award.
Thank you so much, Randy, for this honor. It's a pleasure to be with you and to meet you. A great event and a lot of knowledge and opportunities, right, for the future. So the first award, it is for Rising Star Die Casting Solutions.
Yep. All right. There we go.
Congratulations. All right, our second winner for today, it is Marchesi. Congratulations. Okay. The next award is for Best APQP Support, and the award is for Metal Partes.
All right.
Congratulations. Okay, next award, Best Quality Management, Procesos Aledo. Congratulations. Our next award is for the supplier with best delivery. This is for Die Casting Celaya and Richalum. Congratulations. Double prize. Okay, the next award is for best service for Alupress. Okay, the award for best RFQ support for Metal Partes. Congratulations again. Our next award for Best New Product Development Support is for ScanPaint. Congratulations. Our next award is for Supplier of the Year. Is for Alupress. Congratulations.
First of all, thank you, Brenda. Appreciate it so much. Thank you. Guys, this is just the beginning. We've got this many suppliers. In the future, we're going to have more awards, more suppliers up here to recognize you for the contributions that you've made to help us support our customers and win more business. So thank you to every one of you. And, you know, I'm looking forward in the future to shaking hands and getting pictures with a lot more of you that'll be up on stage. So next, I'm going to invite Sahil up for the Mesh Awards, and this will be. Come on up, guys. I'll let him explain a little bit more about the award before we go.
Yeah, so I mean, I think all the suppliers here are in the Mesh sourcing portal, and the 45-question survey that we create the 4-star rating based on is 4 different categories. What I was saying is we have, I think, 10 or 11 suppliers here who've earned a 4-star award, and so we'd like to recognize them. You know, we invite all suppliers, if you're not in the Mesh portal, to join. Sergio and Homero are here from our Mexico team, who do a lot of the audits here, and we also have auditors globally. So I will, as soon as he pulls this up, I'll announce one at a time, and you guys can just come up and get your award from Sergio, Homero, and John. Okay. Okay. Cool. So Bertoli Gianfranco. Yeah. Just stand right there. Yeah. Cool. Marchesi. Process Ledo. Alupress. Congratulations, by the way, to all of you. You guys again? Die Casting Solutions.
Gracias. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Richaloom. YPC de Mexico. EPC, sorry.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Metal Partes. So congrats to all the winners. I just want to let you guys know that there's over 100 suppliers in Mexico. more than I believe 25, 30 that are 4-star rated. These are the 10 to 12 that were here today. So this gives you an idea of some of the better rated suppliers across our platform. We have 1,500 auditors globally, or 1,500 audits globally, and like I mentioned, more than 100 here in Mexico. Okay, thank you guys. Congratulations to all.
All right, thank you. All right, got some hardware. Hey, I just want to let everybody know, if you received an award, we have boxes.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So please, afterwards, come get your boxes so you can put them, and when you travel, we had them in the boxes, bringing them here, kept everything real safe. So we have boxes for the awards. So we're gonna wrap up here. It's been a really good day. Hiten, do you want? All right, we'll bring him up in just a second. So again, I'm just gonna summarize quickly some of the points and what we've kind of entitled this last portion. And I think you guys know because you are, but what does it take to be a North American supplier? Now, everybody in this room is a North American supplier, but there's expectations from the customer that we went over today, and I hope you guys took some things from that. And as we move forward in our relationship, we're going to continue to remind you of what our customer expectations are that we're having to meet, and we're having to meet collectively as partners. When it comes to quality, it's our quality, but you guys own the quality, right? We're not there every day. We're counting on you. We audit you. We know the processes that you have in place. We're asking you to own the quality. If there's issues, you bring them up to us in a timely manner so that we can handle them. But the key is, it's not our quality. It's not the customer's quality. It starts with each and every one of you that are sitting here. When we have issues, we do have to support the customer's inspection and disposition cost of bad material we send them. So just remember, Rocio kind of went over it, and I didn't understand everything that she said because again, I'm not fluent. But there's a cost to quality, and as we get further down the chain, it gets more expensive and more expensive. It's easy to see in China because we're throwing an extra $4,000 on a container if we bring bad parts. But it's still the same here, right? There's inspection cost at the facility. There's cost to move the goods. There's cost to replace the goods if we screw them up. So just remember that cost of quality is there for us, and we have to take responsibility for it. We need you to take responsibility for it also. And if you're stuck in Excel hell, we've been there. The mesh platform is something that we used back when Hiten and I first joined MES. We were doing every quote by Excel. We were sending it out to suppliers, and we were getting 5 prices back, and then we'd make a new Excel, and we'd have to transpose the numbers from, some suppliers would fill something out, some suppliers would just send an email, say, here's my price. So, if you're stuck, whether it be sending out quotes for the customers, quality, APQP, the quality app. Sahil went over the quality app. We use that. We had an idea a few years ago that was, well, it's called we want to be the factory next door. How do you bridge a 7,000 mile gap? Technology. And this app gives us the ability, when we wake up in the morning, to see the issues that our team in China found that night while we were asleep. We don't have to ask. It's there. If there's a problem, boom, you open up your email, you got an email, you're looking at it, holy crap. So, please, if you need help with technology, reach out to us, reach out to Mesh. The offerings are going to continue to increase, and you don't have to be stuck in 1998 or 2005, right? We can help you make it easier for yourselves. We talked about this too. Processes to win business, man. It's getting more complex. Customers are requiring. I mean, the panel, every one of these panelist that was up here talked about their engineers are not professional die casters. They're not professional iron casters. They're not professional extruders. They're going to make the part that they need for what they're making it for. They need us to help them understand if we can make it, how we can make it best, and if there's a better way to make it. So those are important things for us to be a part of in that process. Once we get the PO, DFM support, it's paramount. We can't drop the ball. I'm a American football fan. You know, I remember watching a football game and the team ran the ball down to the 1 yard line, and the referees gave him a touchdown, and they came back and they reviewed the play and they said, he was 2 inches away. We got to move the ball back. And I'm like, just give him the touchdown. You're going to score from 2 inches away, right? Next play, the guy fumbles. The defense gets the ball and they never scored. We cannot fumble. When we get the PO, customer hands us the ball, we've got to put it in the end zone. So please, DFM is a key for us. And Hiten mentioned this. There's a new breed of engineers for our customers. They're hiring these guys young. Sometimes the only time they've ever seen the manufacturing process was on YouTube, right? We have to, it's true. We've got to help educate. That's part of what we do. We're not just delivering a part. You guys are experts in the field. Nobody knows your processes better than you do. Help us pass that education on to suppliers. And I'm telling you right now, you teach a young engineer something about what he's making, he's going to think about you the next time he's got a question, and the next time he's got a question. And that's where we want to be. We want to be the first thought in a customer's mind when he's got a question. Yeah, okay, I'll just call MES. They've got a supplier that's going to give me the information that I need. Quote turnarounds, guys. If you need to hire people to help, if we're overloading you with quotes, whatever it takes, we need a quicker turnaround on these quotes. Again, the customer panel said it, right? If it takes you 3 or 4 weeks to get the quote in, you've probably lost the opportunity. And, you know, for us, if we've got a die cast project in Mexico, we're not sending it to 4 suppliers. Chances are we're sending it to 1. We've chosen you. This looks like this is in this supplier's wheelhouse. If you take 3 to 4 weeks to quote, they want it in Mexico, and you lose the opportunity, we lose the opportunity too. So, getting better at the quoting lead time is very, very important. And our goal is to laser focus. You guys know the difference between a shotgun and a rifle, right? Shotgun is going to spray bullets all over the target. Rifle, you can take one shot and you can hit the target. That $500 million that we quoted last year, that's a shotgun. When we're at 230 million or 280 million this year, that's going to be the rifle shot that hits the bullseye more times than that shotgun. We're not going to have to take as many chances to get the wins. Our goal with your help is to get that push 10% on our win percentage so that we can do less work on the quoting side and get better opportunities and focus our attention on helping our customers understand what they're making and how it's going to be made. Here's one last thing. We've had a lot of conversations with a lot of suppliers, and honestly, Mexico's no different than China in this area. I've had suppliers that have been willing, I need a new CNC machine for that. Okay, I'll buy it, $150,000. No problem. Hey, your service is really lacking. We're struggling here. Maybe you need to hire an engineer. Oh man, an engineer is going to cost me $30,000 a year. I can't afford that. So we can afford to make the investment in a machine, but we can't see the value in making an investment in a person that's going to help us be successful. Please think about that. China is the same way. China Diecaster will spend $1.2 million on 3 machines, and they won't hire an engineer to help us, with APQP. Or it's a common thing, and I'm encouraging you, invest in people, and the return, you're going to get the return back. On-time delivery and production lead times. Eric gave some good examples. And guys, we brought some quality examples and some supply chain examples up here, not to not to show, maybe there's a supplier out there who's like, that was me, ugh. That wasn't the purpose. The purpose is that the issues are real, and we want you to see, the purpose of it is to show you how it affects the customer. And, when you get the PO, we have to understand this is the deliverable. And the deliverable isn't parts are ready. Parts are on the truck, right? Parts are ready to go. We're not, it's ready at 9 p.m. on Friday and they can get out Monday morning. That we've lost again. So parts are on the truck, ready to go. 95, this says 94, but 95% on-time delivery. If we ended up that way, Hiten would be pretty ticked off at us, right? That's a pretty low mark. We should be able to reach that, and we should be challenging, our suppliers should be challenging MES's delivery, on-time delivery to customers, our percentage, which is typically minus COVID years, 97, 98%. 97 would even be a little low. Pre-production planning for materials. Again, we talked about this in the project side. Suppliers, you need to be informed. You need to understand when the tools are coming so that you can be ready to run them, run the samples when they arrive. That's our job to inform you. And if you're not getting that information, then you need to ask or tell us. But our plan, our expectation for our team is to make sure that you know. And what we're asking you to do is when you get that information to get it in the production cycle and be prepared for that time for the PPAP. Because at the end of the day, we got to get the PPAP done so we can make money on the parts. We got to sell those parts. And we had a lot of customers up here that talked about the importance of once it's approved, we got to get it into production. We got to get moving. Life cycles on, especially for lighting industry, life cycles could be a year. That might be all that they may replace it in a year. So we've got to get it moving quickly. I do hate to show this, the last point, but currently Mexico is our worst on-time delivery metric that we have for our supply chain. China is around 92%. And for China, that's on-time delivery to the port, right? They got to get the parts to the port so we can get them here. India is the same way. India's had some challenges. We've got the saddle on them. We're riding them hard, but they're 80%. When I was putting these numbers together for this slide, I just pulled the data out of our system, and we're right about 54% on our on-time delivery here in Mexico. So it's got to improve. And that's going to happen through communication. And if we're not giving you the information that you need to let us know. But 54%, we're not going to grow business if we continue with a 54% on-time delivery.
15 minutes with John or Sahil, understand some of the APQP and stuff like that, because we feel there's a lot of free things we are right now on Mesh for that, but it will change how you do business. That is what we want to happen. It's not because we are selling a software or things like that. It will change because it is meant for us to scale at a pace that it's unfathomable without those technology tools. We sound like preachers sometimes here, right? But I was kind of hit between the eyes today, and I felt so bad because if you go back to this, in last 18 months when we acquired the 2 machine plants, within 30 days we started learning, okay, we need to learn how to manufacture. Just watching the suppliers do it and giving them recommendations doesn't cut it. You've got to do it yourself. So we started to rebuild a lot of our operations team in both the plants, and especially the engineering teams. But what was really hard, Sanjay was here, we had reviewed some machining packages last summer when he visited Ohio. And I was like, oh, whatever happened to those? He said, Vithan, your prices never came. Because we had fixed our estimating by August, September timeframe. And I didn't realize that in June, July, August, there were some packages to quote. He said, I sourced $2.5 million in the last 9 months of machining that you could easily have done it for Saltillo. So it really burns me like that, but it hurts. It's right between the eyes, like 3 hours back. We're preaching to you all these things, but we're also going through our own turmoil. So we have committed last year to be a software company, and Siles has almost 32 programmers, 17 direct, and the rest of them are coming online. So we're building this tech ourselves. And the next quarter, we're going to have probably the top-notch machining engineering team that's going to be working all over the world, because we can't be at one place. So we've looked at places just in Saltillo or Monterey or Effingham or Columbus. It's not feasible. So we've invested in the eSpirit software to cycle times. We invested in Mingo to do all the machine OEEs, and a variety of other software tools to kind of make sure that we create a smart factory of tomorrow. That is our vision, and we want our factories to be the models of what we want our suppliers to be at. So we've got to be really good at it, and we're learning how to do it. But along the way, we're getting smacked around, okay? So don't feel bad for what you are at, but you have a golden opportunity to take advantage of it if you want to. It's going to take some guts. It's going to take some risk taking. But what we bring to the table is customers, okay? And we can navigate the customer side because we can give them double option while you're learning and while you're investing and while you're bringing up to speed. We can fulfill their demands through other parts of the world. And when you're ready, we bring them in. So that's easier for customers to navigate and easier for suppliers to digest, okay? So please do that. But the key that we do feel that most of the small manufacturers do not do enough of is this people development. Because you're only as good as your best people, okay? And you are worse than your worst people. So you really have to invest in it. How are you gonna do it? And your ex-superstars and experts, and Kevin pointed out saying it's not an XY axis, so we basically go around the curve. So whichever people are here, they need to move here, move here, move here. And not all of them will move, which is fine. It's okay, as long as we know we've identified it. It's a very simple chart to kind of dissect customers, simple chart to dissect. We've been able to use this model over the last year to kind of refine our entire strategy. And especially be able to talk the same language when we are talking about people or customers or suppliers or money or capital investments and all of those. So I'm really humbled that we were able to do this, and I absolutely really appreciate customers participating in it. I would like to have all the MES and Metrics Mexico employees please stand up, because you guys deserve a well-deserved ovation here for all the hard work. Outstanding. Beautiful. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I know every single one of you has contributed to making this event a success, and thank you all the suppliers for being here. What we're gonna do is we have 3 customers here. So Juan Carlos and Matt and Kevin will have them in the room across the street in the 3 corners. Any suppliers that want to have a few minutes of one-on-one with them, do that. I'll be there too, and we're happy to do that. So just let's kind of make our rounds through. Be short. If you want to introduce something that makes sense, please leave the cards or any of the details if that's okay. So that way you get one-on-one time. And if you guys want to do any specific thing, just ask them to wait so we can run through the entire gamut of supplier and customer mix. Okay, we thought that was the most effective, efficient way of doing about that. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. We hope to do this at least once a year, if not twice. And look forward to seeing at more events, and hopefully help you guys learn something today that'll help you grow your business and some of the tips that can make you better. So thank you.